Hey y'all, I'm Jerdy, and in this video, we're going to go over all the changes to Protection Paladin from Cataclysm to Mists of Pandaria so you can be prepared on how to play this class for the Mists of Pandaria pre-patch. First, let's go over the most noticeable change being our talent system and our spellbook. You now pick one of 3 talents every 15 levels as opposed to the old talent tree where it's 1 point per level. Level 15 focuses on mobility talents. Speed of Light is an on-use ability, Long Arm of the Law is a speed boost when you judge, and Pursuit of Justice is our old 15% speed boost talent from the past. Level 30 focuses on CCs and stuns. Fist of Justice is a better Hand of Justice with a longer range and shorter cooldown. Repentance is our old 1 minute lasting CC. And Evil Point of View lets us use Turn Evil on humans and beasts as well, giving us a fear ability for most mobs. Level 45 focuses on self-heals and mitigation. Selfless Healer lets judgments work with our Flash of Light ability, reducing its cooldown up to 3 times for it to be instant. Eternal Flame is a more powerful version of Word of Glory, and Sacred Shield is our priest-like bubble ability. Level 60 focuses on stronger mitigation cooldowns. Hand of Purity is a 10% DR overall, but an 80% DR on dots. Unbreakable Spirit reduces the cooldowns of Divine Shield, Protection, and Lay on Hands by 50%. And Clemency lets you use all of your hand abilities twice before their cooldown starts. And we'll finish with the 75 talents, as we won't be able to approach 90 until launch, and that portion will be for the actual guide. These talents focus on damage dealing cooldowns. Holy Avenger increases the damage from holy power generating abilities by 30%, and each ability gives 3 charges instead of 1 for 18 seconds. Sanctified Wrath increases Avenging Wrath's duration by 50%, and for protection reduces the CD of Judgment by half while also letting it generate 2 holy power per cast and also increasing healing by 20%. And Divine Purpose gives abilities that cost holy power, Shield of Righteousness, and Word of Glory a 25% chance to cost no holy power, and you'll see it when the abilities light up on your action bar. I'll show you what the general player base will be running right here on screen if you want to use that for yourself. And for our spellbook, all of our abilities now are under the talent you're spec'd in versus being among 3 different trees, making it easier to find all of our spells. Let's now look at those spells and abilities and see what's different going into Mists of Pandaria. Our seals now look like warrior stances and fall under the same keybinds as warrior stances, being the special action keybinds. Our standard auras are now gone. Devotion aura is now a 3-minute cooldown and is the baby of Divine Sacrifice and Aura Mastery, giving 20% spell DR and immunity to silences and interrupts for 6 seconds. Seal of Righteousness is now purely an AoE seal. Holy Shield is now completely gone from the game. Shield of the Righteous now requires 3 holy power versus 1. Hammer of Wrath and Holy Wrath got new icons. Some spells like Divine Plea and Inquisition are removed when spec'd into Protection. And we get a new ability, Blinding Light, a 2-minute cooldown that incapacitates all targets within 10 yards for 6 seconds. We also have some reworks and changes with our passives and buffs that we get being a Protection Paladin. Holy Power is now capped at 5, not 3. Shield of the Righteous now gives us a 3-second physical damage reduction buff when casted. This is our new form of active mitigation and the center of our playstyle. Shield of the Righteous now also procs Bastion of Glory, a stacking buff that increases the strength of our Word of Glory or Eternal Flame up to 5 stack. Grand Crusader has been reworked to give you holy power when you dodge or parry, and Judgment of the Wise now makes it so Judgment gives you holy power. Thank God. The Protection Paladin gets a major stat rework in Mists of Pandaria. Haste is now our best stat by far. Haste now reduces the cooldown and global cooldown of most of our abilities thanks to the Sanctity of Battle passive buff. Haste is our best stat, and we will want to stack it because we can generate holy power faster and keep up our Shield of the Righteousness damage reduction buff. However, Haste gear is hard for the Protection Paladin to get at the start. And before we want to stack Haste, we need to make sure we are hit and expertise cap. It doesn't matter if our GCD is faster and our CDs and our abilities are faster, because if we're missing and we're getting dodged and parried, we're not going to generate holy power regardless. But also with these changes, CTC, avoidance cap, crush cap, whatever you called it in the past, is no longer an objective for the Paladin tank. Tank gear might not always be our best option. So with all that being said, our stat prio will look something like this: hit cap, expertise cap, haste, and mastery. Mastery is now reworked and buffs Shield of the Righteous Righteous's damage reduction and Bastion of Glory. So outside of hit and expertise, our stat prio is Haste Mastery. And like I mentioned at the start of this video, if you play Prot in retail, this looks very familiar. Because of this stat priority, playing a Draenei looks really attractive for the Protection Paladin, as you get heroic presence for that plus hit. Humans and dwarves have plus expertise to certain weapons, but it's only certain weapons. So if you're really trying to min-max, a Draenei would be your best bet. And although, like I mentioned earlier, we get holy power from a successful dodge or parry, these aren't stats we really seek. It may sound weird, but consistent damage taken per second is better for Protection Paladin than random damage spikes. We aren't avoidance tanks like Blood Death Knights. We focus on mitigating the damage, not avoiding it. You have an army of damage reduction cooldowns, and when you talent into Unbreakable Spirit at level 60, it'll feel like you always have a DR ability ready, on top of your Shield of the Righteous buff. In regards to our professions, there's a bit of an argument to be made for a lot of them, but you'll want to keep engineering as one of your professions for the hand, belt, and back tinkers. But this is more beneficial if more people in your team have engineering as well. Outside of that, there's an argument for blacksmithing, jewel crafting, and even leatherworking. I personally would pick blacksmithing for the additional sockets to gloves and bracers, making it much easier to hit stat goals. In regards to your rotation, like Protection Paladin has always been, it's not that complex. Just think of it as a priority rotation. You always want to keep that Shield of the Righteous buff up if it's mostly physical damage. If not, you'll be using Word of Glory. Make sure you also have Sacred Shield up for mitigation. Use your Holy Power generators and your Holy Power spenders. And if both of those are on CD, then use your fillers like Consecrate, Avenger Shield, and Holy Wrath. In AoE situations, you want to prio your AoE abilities first to generate that initial threat. And then we do have some buffs and changes that are unique to Mists of Pandaria Classic versus its original iteration back in the day. Our damage reduction from Sanctuary is raised to 20% versus 15%, and the shielding on Sacred Shield has been raised by 43%. This is what makes Sacred Shield more of a pick for us versus Eternal Flame. And then we also got some pretty strong buffs to Vengeance. And I'm not going to go over all this, you can pause the video if you want to read it, but Vengeance was peak in Mists of Pandaria, and it's going to be even better now in MoP Classic. But that's it for now on this recap of Protection Paladin changes for Mists of Pandaria. This spec only gets stronger as each phase goes on. So if you really want to play this tank spec, just deal with being moderately okay in phase 1 and then being really good from there on out. I hope this video helped, and as always, thanks for stopping by and saying hi. Drop a like and a sub if you're new to the channel. Follow me on twitch.tv/TrudyJD, as well as all my socials in the link tree below, and I will see y'all in the next video. Oh, and sub if you're new to the channel. Please sub.